Hello and welcome to This Week in Karting here on the EKN Radio Network. Again, it is David Cole joined by Nate Dean as we begin episode 48 on August 21st, 2022. Episode 48, we have a lot of things to discuss from the last week, hitting all the major news and tidbits that came across the EKN homepage over the last week. Again, I hope you are enjoying all the different podcasts that we've been producing over the last few weeks. We've had a number of them, including This Week in Karting. We're trying to get more regular. So it's not so much this month in karting. We're trying to go more this week. So we're getting more and more content and getting our podcasts out there. So it's a great way to listen at home, on the way to work, working outside in the garage, or heading to the racetrack to begin your race weekend. So again, This Week in Karting, episode 48, August 24th. And this episode is presented by the Skip Barber Racing School. Are you looking for the next step in racing? Go from karts to cars with the Skip Barber Racing School. Skip Barber alumni are champions in every motorsport series, including Formula One, NASCAR, IMSA, and IndyCar. Get behind the wheel of a Skip Barber Formula 4 car featuring a 160 horsepower turbocharged engine. Our highly structured and competitive Skip Barber Formula Race Series is the perfect platform to start your racing career, so you can fulfill your dream of becoming a champion. With equalized race cars and a focus on driver development, your driving skills will determine if you end up in victory lane. Learn more about the Skip Barber Racing School at skipbarber.com or call 866-932-1949. So Nate Dean, we are into episode 48, August 24th. Our last episode was August 16th. So kind of just a week and 1 day later as we are getting close to the end of August.
Yeah, as the karting world kind of starts to wake up again, had a bit of a European style break over August. Not a ton happening, but as we start to get closer to September and some more races with USPKS and Texas Sprint Racing Series, everything's starting to liven up a bit.
Do you think it's been a good thing to see kind of the national level of karting here in the US? Obviously, we've seen it over in Europe many, many years. Do you think it's a good idea to kind of take that month of August off in your kind of viewpoint of where we are in the sport right now?
I think so, yeah. A couple reasons. One, I think it's just most people who are in karting are so invested in the sport, and that's for some people what you're doing every weekend, and being able to have that break. People who are in a fight for a championship going into their final months, the mental reset is something that is huge in terms of just being able to go in with an open mind, and everything that's happened before is in the past. So I think from that aspect, it's good. It also is good for your local tracks, for the grassroots side of things, with no conflicts with the bigger racing series. It will be helping those smaller tracks with the higher attendance numbers. So yeah, I think the August break, in quotes, that we've had on this national level has been quite a good thing, and what I'd like to see more in the future.
Yeah, and let's not forget, school begins in August. Many of the kids are going back to school because, again, the karting is a majority of kids. So it kind of helps kind of alleviate the pressure for kids and their parents of going back to school and having to take, the day off. Some kids, I remember in the past, they would skip their first day of school to go be at a racetrack or coming back from a race and not quite be able to get back home in time. So again, it is a unique time in the month, in the year, or not in the month, in the year, in terms of what a lot of things going on. And I think August it's kind of good, like you said, kind of regrouping and kind of refresher to kind of go towards the final 4 months of the year. And looking ahead to the final 4 months of the year, there's 1 month that kind of sticks out, and that's always November, when we talk about the SuperKarts USA Super Nationals. This year will be the 25th edition of that event, November 16th through the 20th at the Rio All Suite Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. A lot of buildup coming up towards the event, and we kind of wanted to just kind of give a little bit of an update. Certainly one of the categories that we've been promoting over the last week and a half to 2 weeks is the new K100 Masterclass, which was introduced for the first time and was on kind of a deadline situation, needing to have at least 25 entries by August 21st. And thankfully, with the buildup of Rob Howden, EKN's own Rob Howden, racing in the event, and then also kind of coercing other people to compete in the category, they've reached that 25, have gone beyond that. And I think now have even gone close into the 30 mark, heading into the end of August.
Yeah. And I mean, master categories have always been quite interesting at Supernats and have always provided some good racing, as they always do. So it's fun to see the new K100 Master reach that 25 limit, and should be interesting to see what goes on in Las Vegas in a couple months' time and what Rob can do on track.
Yeah, the on-track stuff for Rob, I think he's just looking and focusing on trying to reach that checkered flag on Super Sunday. But this will be the first time in a while that we are going to have all three master categories at the Super Nationals. If I recall, we've had S4 and G1 and Tag Master back in the day. So this isn't the first time that we've had three different master categories. So this year we're, obviously the introduction of the K100 Master class, but SCUSA has confirmed both Master Shifter, X30 Master, and K100 Master will remain on the schedule. So essentially that leaves most of the categories going to be at that 44 mark. We do know K100 Senior and X30 Senior are going to be up to 88, or allowed to be up to 88, and that'll be the cap. And those categories are kind of filling up as expected and should be close to those that big number of 88 before the deadline, which will be in November 1 for entry. Micro, Mini, Pro Shifter, and X30 Junior right now are at single digit entries remaining before they reach the cap. So those four categories, are within 34 or more entries right now, not even into September. So that's exciting for those divisions. And then K100 Junior is the first category to sell out. So Supercarts USA confirming we're getting massive amount of numbers for nearly all the different categories at this year's Super Nationals.
Yeah. And like I said, with the Masters, K Junior has just been, around the country, really, with this formula of racing has always been interesting. It's always been close. It's always been a hard fight, and I don't think we're going to have any exceptions when we hit the parking lot in Las Vegas, which I forget. I would bring up who won last year, but I am blanking on who got Junior. So K100 Junior, that was Jeremy Fletcher, who was able to win both the junior categories, becoming only the second driver to win two categories in the same Super Nationals. The first, do you recall who the first is? I do not know.
All right. Well, we'll give you a little history lesson along with everybody else. Connor De Felipe was able to win JICA and 80cc shifter in the same Super Nationals that was at Sam Boyd Stadium. I want to say it was 2005, maybe, possibly. I believe 2005 or 2006, one of those years. I think it was 2005. So that's a unique little stat there for Super Nationals. Again, we still have only drivers who have won 4 times: Billy Musgrave, Kip Foster. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the other one off the top of my head now. A lot of history is going to be made there at Super Nationals 25. And we're looking to see the schedule coming out soon. We do know that all the KA divisions will be in the morning, and along with Mini and Micro, and then X30 categories along with the 2 shifter categories in the afternoon. So that'll be an exciting time going back to the Rio for Super Nationals 25. Another big event on the calendar in the closing months in October, the first full weekend in October, the Rotax US Trophy Final will be set for October 7th through the 9th at the Newcastle Motorsports Park in Newcastle, Indiana. This essentially is kind of what we've seen in the past, where it's almost going to be like what we've had with the Rotax Grand National, the U.S. Rotax Grand Nationals. where Rotax racers from across the country will get together, and it'll be kind of the one-off big race of the season. And that's what we're going to kind of have there at Newcastle Motorsports Park. This year, 12 Rotax Grand Final tickets up for grabs on the line throughout the weekend. 5 will be decided by the combined West and East Trophy Series standings. So those 2 programs that have run throughout the season, they'll be combined and have one point structure. So each of the 5 different champions will earn a Rotax Grand Finals ticket to go compete in Portugal. The remaining 7 will be awarded based on finishes on that Sunday in the main events for the U.S. Trophy Final. So very similar to what we've seen in the past with the U.S. Rotax Grand Nationals, but a little bit different now with the U.S. Trophy Final, a little bit different format. It is also open to international competitors. So drivers from Canada, Mexico, and anywhere from across the country can come compete at Newcastle Motorsports Park. So Nate, it certainly is a kind of a big one-off, similar to what we have with Supernats, but a Rotax focused program with the U.S. Trophy Final.
Yeah, and it's good to see Rotax programs all over North America really starting to grow more and more. And I think we touched upon that a little bit with our face-to-face with Justin Stefani about a month ago. So go watch that. A lot of fun insight into his world and his involvement in Rotax. But yeah, going to Newcastle Motorsports Park, kind of the spiritual home for ending a race season, it seems like, with most series ending up there. But I mean, yeah, with international drivers being welcome, obviously we should have some big names from either side of the border. It should be a very fun race to watch. Won't be going, unfortunately, but definitely will be watching on live timing and scoring, and it should be fun.
Yeah, and EKN Trackside Live coverage all weekend long. We'll be producing the radio call, live PA on EKN Radio Network, EKN Live page, along with Rob Howden, the lead announcer with, oh my gosh, I can't think of Henry's last name here. It's blanking my mind, and I did not type it in. But we will be live throughout that weekend, so we're going to have our full EKN Trackside Live coverage. Henry Bidot. Henry is the official voice of Rotax Grand Finals, so he actually will be there, getting to see all those drivers who are going to be earning the 12 tickets to race at the Rotax Grand Finals, be able to call them when they head to Portimao, Portugal in November to compete at what is the Olympics of karting. Ironically, Newcastle Motorsports Park was the site of the 2010 U.S. Rotax Grand National. So 12 years later, we are back there with Rotax racing. So should be an exciting weekend again. Full EKN Trackside Live coverage all weekend long. Now it's the time for our first commercial break as we begin our This Week in Karting, August 24th, episode 48. So a little bit more in terms of what kind of news items have come across the desk over the last week after this break.
Top-level production with a focus on a single form of motorsport, karting. This is MG Tires. MG Tires USA, underneath the Vantage Karting Group banner, is the official distributor of the MG Tires brand for the United States. MG Tires are the official spec tire in the U.S. Pro Kart Series, Route 66 Sprint Series, Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and countless clubs across the country. No matter your compound preference, MG Tires USA has you covered. Whether it's the medium SH Red or the soft SM Yellow that you find at many karting events in the US, or the super soft green SS and the intermediate white IZ optional compounds, MG Tires USA has your winning set of rubber in stock. Indoor and outdoor rental facilities can now trust MG Tires with their solution to long-lasting and the best performance with 3 different compounds available through the RL line. For more info about MG Tires USA and its extensive list of dealers near you, check out their website at mgtiresusa.com. MG Tires, for the drivers. Winning takes top quality equipment, flawless preparation, experienced coaching, and passion. And at Team GFC, we live our passion. Developed by American karting champion Gary Carlton, the GFC chassis has become one of the newest brands to reach the top of the podium in North America. GFC has garnered victories and championships at all levels of the sport since its debut at the end of 2018. Shifter car drivers are at the front of the field in the GT14 frame, with the SS31 a consistent contender in tag and 100cc competition. Team GFC has arrive and drive packages available for all categories, including the mini and micro classes utilizing the GFC RR5 cadet chassis. These young pilots have the opportunity to be part of the Team GFC Young Driver Development Program. Learn from one of the best American karters with 28 years racing at the highest levels of the sport, offering personalized training on and off the track. Follow GFC Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or click over to gfckarting.com to learn more about joining Team GFC. GFC, live your passion.
And we are back with the This Week in Karting on the EKN Radio Network. David Cole joined by Nate Dean here, talking about all the news and information that has been brought across the news desk here this past week. Again, a little bit morning jitters here going. I guess I didn't get my Gatorade in, so I got to get back into the radio version of myself here. So going into the next item on our script, we did a little bit of an article about the new event that's going to be happening over in Le Mans, France. With North American drivers set to compete at the inaugural FIA KZ2 Masters World Cup. An exciting event that's going to have 69 drivers from all over the world competing. Again, drivers 35 years and older competing in KZ2 competition to be crowned the inaugural World Cup champion. An exciting time for Masters drivers to be recognized by FIA. This is something we've never seen before, so something new and unique. And certainly drivers are stepping up, with 69 of them entered for what will be the event September 1 through September 4, so Labor Day weekend in Le Mans, France. The Le Mans International Karting Circuit, I believe, is the name of it. So we have three drivers that'll be representing the USA: Jordan Musser, Patrick Otto Madsen, and Cliff Coella, who will be driving and carrying the U.S. banners for Team USA. So three drivers, Nate, that are going to be representing the red, white, and blue in Le Mans, France.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to master shifter drivers, you can't really pick a better crop than those three. I think they should be representing us well over at Le Mans, at a circuit that has hosted the final round of the FIA Karting Championships multiple times. It's produced amazing racing, so it should be fun to watch that. I'm sure it'll be live streamed, I think, with the FIA. Usually it's on motorsport.tv, but apart from that, it's a new race, like you said. It should be interesting to watch. Hopefully it continues throughout the years, and it's on that Labor Day weekend that has become very busy for karting all across America, but now over in Le Mans.
It has, yeah. It will be coincide with the FIA KZ World Championship, along with the KZ2 World Cup, and the finale for the FIA Academy Trophy program. Caleb Gaffera will be racing there. He represents USA in the Academy Trophy program, so they'll be wrapping up that championship. A number of different drivers from Mexico will be there. We got three drivers with Carlos Medina, Victor Jimenez, and Marcio Montaner.
I'm looking at it too. You're doing good.
Montaner. Yes, I just had to say it 5 times. Mauricio Montaner. Other notable names that will be there: 7-time world champion David Foray, Nick De Bruin, Michael Patrizzi from Australia, and Carlos Fonseca. Those are all some notable names that we've seen in the last couple decades in international competition. Some other notable drivers who are also called the USA home, but are racing in they're under their own country banner. Marco Mazzoni, he's been a Superkarts USA regular. He races under the Italian flag. And then Brazilians Andre Martins and Eduardo Martins will also be competing at the KZ Masters World Cup. Eduardo Martins, one of the former Super Nationals winner in 2001 in the G1 category. So a lot of experience and a lot of notable names. It's certainly going to be something to watch, as you said, over Labor Day weekend. It'll be streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and I think, as you said, Motorsports TV, as well as I believe television networks are going to be picking it up as well too. So should be an interesting weekend, and hopefully, Musser, Otto Madsen, and Coella will be able to represent Team USA. All three on different chassis as well too. Burrell Art for Musser, Formula K for Otto Madsen, and Tony Kart for Coella. So an exciting weekend, Labor Day weekend in Le Mans, France.
Yeah, and like you said, 3 different chassis, and we're not talking about like 3 different chassis with like EOS, Red Speed, and they're all under the OTK banner. All 3 of those chassis going very different styles and different approaches. So I think you're covering all the bases there with whatever kart combination will suit that Le Mans circuit best, which again, just one that I'm really looking forward to, with a stacked field of master drivers that should be incredibly fun to watch.
For sure. Speaking of Labor Day, one of the annual events that ekartingnews.com covers and has been around for what will be now the 27th edition of the Extreme Rock Island Grand Prix. They announced they confirmed the announcing team that will be there to call the action both Saturday and Sunday on Labor Day weekend. Jay Kidwell of the WHBF Local 4 News will be joined by Dave McIntyre of the Cup Karts North America. He is the official voice of CKNA. So he's been a multi-time visitor of the Rock Island Grand Prix. Now this year will be able to put his voice to the event alongside Jay Kidwell, who was there last year for his first time announcing at the Rock Island Grand Prix. Again, Rob Howden of EKN, typically the announcer there, continues to have a conflict with the Road to Indy program. They'll be in Portland, Oregon, while we will be focused on the action at the streets of Rock Island, Illinois, and the 27th running of the Rock Island Grand Prix. So, Nate, have you worked with or heard Dave announce? Because certainly he is one memorable voice for the sport of karting.
Dave is a character, but definitely he's a lot of the people who run at Stockholm are very close with kind of the higher ups at Cup Karts. So we've had Dave and some of the tech officials just come down to Stockholm every once in a while for a fun weekend. And Dave has been behind the mic. We've dual commentated a couple of races there. So that's a lot of fun. He's very knowledgeable, knows how to bring the entertainment factor into announcing. So I think you can't really pick a better person than Dave Mack to call the shots.
And there, if it's not Cup Karts North America, that might be number 1 on his list. I think Rock Island is number 2 because I've seen him there year after year after year, again, as a spectator, enjoying and watching all the drivers compete, Saturday and Sunday every year. And he just loves being at that event. So there is going to be a lot of excitement going through the speakers throughout the 5 different blocks of the Rock Island Grand Prix. So it's going to be an exciting weekend. And if you're not able to attend or compete there, we will be live on the EKN Radio Network. We'll be live on the EKN Live page, and we'll be also live on EKN YouTube page as well all weekend long. So you'll be able to hear everything that Jay Kidwell and Dave McIntyre say throughout the weekend for Saturday's heat races and then Sunday's main event action. So an exciting Labor Day weekend, again, racing overseas, and I'm racing here with the Rock Island Grand Prix. So a lot going on that weekend. Getting into our final news item of this segment, Race Lab is stocked with TB Kart inventory. So Race Lab, one of the new distributors for the TB Kart, one of the renowned chassis brands in the world, RaceLab is confirming with eKarting News that they are loaded with inventory both in their Canadian location at the Kartplex and also in the USA, based out of Pompano Beach, Florida. Again, TB Kart and the JV Kart, also the Jacques Villeneuve branded chassis, available through RaceLab and their dealer network. Certainly, RaceLab is being quick to gain a lot of notoriety, building up their race team, expanding with adding a few drivers, namely Kevin Foster and James Better. Those are some of the newer names to that, and also gaining success as both of those drivers gained tickets to compete at the Rotax Grand Finals here to represent Canada at the event in Portugal this November. So a lot of moving parts with RaceLab as they kind of got a foothold now, and they're looking to expand both in Canada and USA.
Yeah, and you said not much to add, mainly just obviously there will be a presence there at Super Nationals, so that will be good for them to showcase their machinery. And I think as we've seen before with new chassis manufacturer, new-ish. I mean, TB Kart's been on here for a while, but with the Jacques Villeneuve kart, it's going to be a tell-all of putting your machinery center stage and showing it to the world, really.
Yeah, the TB Kart has certainly been successful. We've seen it here in the U.S. for a number of years. Won at the Superkarts USA Winter Series, and so it's a brand that is successful. It's just not well known, and a lot of people are turning their eye to it. I know RaceLab is looking at adding a couple of new dealers within the next couple of weeks to help extend that, and then go into the 2023 season locked and loaded, looking to be a major player in both Canadian racing and USA karting as well too. So yeah, as you said, Super Nationals 25 arrive and drive opportunities available through RaceLab on the TB Kart. I think the JV Kart will be some of the Canadian drivers that they do have on their team, because again, that brand is still mostly reserved for Canadian market on the side of things. So again, good to see RaceLab getting a foothold and looking towards the future with TB Kart. That takes us to our next break as we continue on with This Week in Karting, August 24th, 2022. And when we come back, we'll have a couple more news items for our third segment of this episode.
The 27th edition of the world's largest street race for karting is coming Labor Day weekend. On September 3rd and 4th, the Extreme Rock Island Grand Prix will feature racing for everyone from grassroots to vintage racers to some of the best national and shifter kart drivers from North America, all at one venue. A total of 18 race groups will tackle the city streets of Rock Island, Illinois, with 2 full days of competition after the volunteer committee turns those streets into a racing festival overnight. Categories range from the popular Briggs 206, Margay Ignite, Yamaha Can-Am 100cc categories to the Vintage Karting Association and Shifter divisions, all with opportunities to gain track time and chances to win by competing in multiple classes. The famed King of the Streets, as well as the King of the Rock races for Briggs & Stratton 206 and 100cc entries, will each pay $1,000 and the coveted Rock Trophy to win, as well as checks for the top 5 places. All other classes will race for Rock Trophies, as well as 2nd and 3rd place awards. New this year, karters in different classes but from the same track can battle together for an overall 2022 Track Team of the Year award by designating their track or club name when they register. The Extreme Rock Island Grand Prix is the most fun you can have on and off the track. Learn more by visiting racerockisland.info.
Wins in the sport's biggest races and championships in national and regional series all over the country, they're all on Nitro Kart's growing resume. Nitro Kart continues to make its statement as the best, fastest, and winningest cadet chassis on the American market. In 2021, Nitro Kart won the 3 biggest crowns in America in the Micro Swift division, with Matteo Rosu in the SCUSA Pro Tour and both the Super Nationals and the USPKS titles with Keelan Harvick. At the Super Nats alone, 3 of the top 5 drivers on the podium got there on a nitro kart. The results are clear. If you want to win in cadet, get a nitro kart and join our team. At Nitro Kart, we're all about driver development. Nick Tucker and the Nitro Crew's racing resumes are extensive, and their passion for helping our kids learn is unparalleled. Racing is about consistent learning, and that's what we're all about here at Nitro Kart. Never wanting to quit, we've continued to extend the reach of our driver development program. In addition to expanding into the junior and senior karting categories, we've also launched Nitro Motorsports, which will field 2 cars this season in the Trans Am by Pirelli series, one being piloted by karting champion Brent Cruz. Not only can we develop your young driver, but we can also provide the platform if a move to cars is in your plan. And our second seat is available. If you're serious about your driver's career, contact us today.
And we are back with This Week in Karting, August 24th, 2022. I am David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, EKN editorial assistant, as we get into the final 2 topics of our broadcast and episode number 50. What did I say? 48. Sorry, I'm getting that confused with the face-to-face we just did. So kind of similar numbers in terms of episodes. So this first topic, the Texas Sprint Racing Series, moves their finale event to the Speed Sports Racing Park. We actually just did our face-to-face yesterday with Alan Rudolph of the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy and Speed Sports Racing Park. Talked a little bit about this. The September 22nd through the 24th event has moved from the MSR Houston facility and will now be at the Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. The event will be now under the lights, a Thursday to Saturday event. So that's something that is a little bit unique. Typically, you see that more in the summertime. Now we're going to see it kind of in the opening days of the fall season. Again, I checked my calendar during our face-to-face, and because I think it's called the fall finale. I wasn't able to confirm that yet, but I believe the event is called the fall finale. So it'll be an interesting 3 days of racing, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday under the lights at Speed Sports Racing Park. Nate, that is one of the facility's highlights, is the ability to race under the lights, and we've seen a number of events there under the lights. So it's going to be a great way to end their 2022 season there.
Yeah, and obviously Speed Sports Racing Park is starting to become more of a predominant figure on national karting series calendars, with USPKS going there next year. As for this year, and this is on their website, the fall finale under the lights is the official name for it.
There you go.
So you start to see that Thursday to Saturday format more and more when you have races that are under the lights, just so you're not racing Sunday night, and that's a rush to get out of there, which smart from Texas Sprint Racing Series on that one. In terms of the championships, there's not too many that are incredibly close. If we're going to talk about the KA categories, since the winners for those championships and the others will win tickets to Super Nationals 25, Junior and Masters and Senior all pretty much show up and do well. For Senior, Alex Stanfeld, who we'll talk about in a little bit with USPKS, again, 312 points in front. He just basically needs to show up to win that title. But Texas Sprint Racing Series has always provided some incredible racing, some very close racing, and it should be interesting to see what they can produce under the lights.
It will be, yeah. It's going to be, again, registration is now open for the September 22nd through the 24th event at the Speed Sports Racing Park to close out the Texas Sprint Racing Series program for the 2022 season. And then, as you mentioned, Speed Sports being a host to the United States Pro Kart Series, they actually confirmed the track layout for their 2022 series finale, set for the Newcastle Motorsports Park on September 15th through the 18th. The Hoosier State Grand Prix will be held on the national layout. So again, rounds 7 through 8, the 2 final rounds for the 2022 championship program will be held on the national layout. So Nate, that's a little bit different. I wasn't quite expecting that. I thought they'd maybe throw a wrench at everybody to put something different out there. But we did an Instagram poll, and it was about 75% were happy that they went with a national layout.
Yeah, and I think we've had a bit of a funny period with Newcastle of, I think people got a little bored with the same old national layout that we're now running. We had some variations from, every series that went there, WK, SCUSA, USPKS, all differing a little bit from the national layout. And I think we're finally getting back to like, all right, let's just go to something we know, something that's proven to be good for racing. So I'm glad to see the national layout come back. In terms of classes and championships, just going to touch upon the two quote unquote big ones. X30 Senior is all wrapped up. A certain driver who has 558 points, name starts with R, ends with Ian Norberg, has clinched that one, which the 558 point gap is impressive enough when you factor in about 70 drivers have raced in USPKS this season, and most of them don't even have 558 points. So that's impressive from Norberg and the RPG driver. And K100 Senior, it's going to be Fletcher versus Lemke versus Stanfield. Fletcher goes into the weekend with a 7-point gap over Wisconsin native Brandon Lemke. Brandon Lemke has always had a ton of pace at Newcastle and Indiana, but looking back a couple weekends with the SCUSA weekend, Jeremy Fletcher was always up front challenging Oliver Calvo for the win, so that should be a good fight. And Alex Stanfield, 45 points back from Fletcher in the lead. You can't count them out since they are 2 race days, and unlike Texas Sprint Racing Series where it's just 1 race day for the weekend, a lot of points to be had at Newcastle, and it still is up in the air whether it will be Fletcher, Lemke, or Stanfield taking the trophy.
Yeah, and you got to think about tiebreakers. Lemke and Stanfield each have 2 victories. Fletcher only has the 1 going into the finale, so that could be, another side of things too, because as we've seen at the USPKS, it could come down to a tiebreaker as it did in X30 Master last year. Going back to, I think it was the second tiebreaker because both drivers had the same amount of victories. So that could be probably the tightest championship we see throughout the weekend. I haven't really reviewed the rest of the championships, but that one looks to be spectacular. And again, Lemke loves Newcastle Motorsports Park, but as you mentioned, he was right up there. Fletcher was right up there with Oliver Calvo in both of his victories at the SuperKarts USA Summer Nationals. Stanfield looks like he struggled a bit that weekend, but winning at Orlando, winning at GoPro, he certainly knows how to find his way to the front. So I would assume that for the finale weekend, he's going to find his way to be able to keep Fletcher and Lemke in his sights, if not ahead of them all weekend long.
Yeah, and maybe it's just one of those things where, as we talked about with the August break, you just need that little bit of a mental reset. You know that OTK chassis, the Tony kart, is going to be quick. It's what Fletcher is on that OTK brand. So the kart has it. You just need to find it.
Yeah, same with Stanfield.
Yeah. And yourself I forget if Lemke has moved to OTK or if he's still on Merlin.
Still Merlin. Yep. He's
still Merlin.
Merlin Nation. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where you try to say, I think this person's going to win for these reasons. And I look at those 3 names and I say, I don't have a darn clue who's going to come out on top because they're all 3 world-class drivers. They're all, it's going to be close. It's going to be super, super close. And I'll be there for Saturday and Sunday. So it should be fun to see that trackside.
Yeah. Again, we'll be trackside all weekend long, providing the ECAN trackside coverage. We'll have previews, we'll have videos, we'll have photos, we'll have everything that you need to stay up to date with what's going on with the USPKS Hoosier State Grand Prix at Newcastle Motorsports Park. So that'll take us into our final break as we wrap up This Week in Karting episode number 48 with more, and we'll close it out with a little bit on what's coming up on ECAN and what we've talked about over the last week or so after these commercial breaks.
It's time to push yourself. Make the jump from the club level and race against the best in the country at the Texas Sprint Racing Series. The premier regional kart racing series in Texas is a 5-race program that travels throughout the southern portion of the United States. The 2022 season is set to come to a close at the Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas on September 22nd to 24th. The fall finale will be a special Thursday to Saturday event with racing 2 nights under the lights at one of the best tracks in the country. Registration is now open at TexasSprintSeries.com. If you weren't part of the action in 2022, mark down the Texas Sprint Racing Series schedule for the 2023 season. Action begins on March the 24th to 26th at NOLA Motorsports Park in New Orleans. May 26th to 28th is a return to racing under the lights at Speed Sports Racing Park. June the 30th to July the 2nd is the midway point of the next season, and then races on August 4th to 6th and September 15th to 17th will close out the year. Details on the final 3 locations will be announced in the future. For information about rules and the class structure for this official SuperKarts USA and International Kart Federation Series can be found at TexasSprintSeries.com. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win.
And we are back with This Week in Karting, episode number 48, August 24th, 2022. I am David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, our ECAN editorial assistant. Now we'll get into a little bit of what we've done here over the last week on ECAN. Talking about ECAN editorial, one of the great stories that we've been able to produce on the year and over the last couple of years. Age is no object. Ken Engelking's I can never say names. Ken Engelking's 80th birthday kart racing tour. It was a great article Rob Howden was able to put together to talk about how Ken has been involved in the sport since, I want to say what he said, the late 50s, and celebrated his 80th birthday this year by going to a number of different karting events at the Speed Sports Racing Park and other events around that facility, including rental karts and Briggs 206 racing. And certainly a unique story to see. Again, that's 37 years away for me, a lot more for you, to be able to be racing a kart at the age of 80 is certainly unique, Nate.
I mean, it's kind of the goal, isn't it, to still be doing that at that age? It's props to Ken. He's doing, what we all kind of dream to do, to be able to keep racing at that age. And like you said, Rob put this together. It's a really amazing story, but it's definitely worth the read. And it's nice to see.
It's a little, because you think retirement, you think of golf. And I know people who are into motorsports, they think, well, maybe karting could be that golf. But it's a little bit more physical, a little bit time consuming, a little bit more expensive than golf, I think. But it is. But again, when you have that home circuit that's right next to where you live, I certainly, if I had a kart track in my backyard, I'd be there, as much as I could. But, when you're 80 years old, there's a lot going on in terms of, staying healthy and making sure, there's just a lot going on when you're that age. But be able to kind of call that your kind of retirement fun is certainly unique. And I think that's all something like as you said, we strive to be able to do at the age of 80.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, I don't know, you don't see stories like this too much. And maybe it is, you do have a handful of people, I should say, who are racing at this age, but it's nice to focus on it, to bring attention to it, to showcase it to all of our audience. And I know it's been shared on other platforms too, but it's, again, a great story. Go read it. It's,
yeah, that was one of the unique things about all the comments on social media, were all the different stories of drivers who are in their 70s or nearing the age of 80 who are still out there competing. So again, great to see how karting can be a passion. Live your passion. That's something GFC Karting always pushes. And again, that's exactly what Ken is doing, living his passion, that is motorsports and especially karting. ECAN podcast review. So some of the recent shows since our last This Week in Karting recorded, we had episode 47 on August 16th. So that is available in the podcast form, along with our face-to-face with Roger Ruthhart from the Rock Island Grand Prix. So he was able to give us some insights into this year's event, the 27th edition of the Extreme Rock Island Grand Prix. So again, any podcasts that we have are available through ECAN, through all the different podcast platforms and outlets, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio is even has our podcast. So all the different places that you are able to download your podcasts, be able to make sure you subscribe to it and be able to give us a review if you can on any of our shows, or just the app as well, including our ECAN Radio Network app. Again, the only 24-hour, 7 days a week channel focused on karting, the only karting radio station in the world. So this episode of This Week in Karting will be playing there tomorrow. Also playing this week and right now is our face-to-face with Alan Rudolph. That's playing right now on the ECAN, or will be playing at 1:00 today on the ECAN Radio Network. So you'll be able to get that. That'll also be available as a podcast here later this week. Looking ahead, we'll have our outlap for the Rock Island Grand Prix. And then again, we'll be broadcasting live on the ECAN Radio Network the weekend that at Rock Island Grand Prix. So you'll be able to listen to Jay Cudwell and Dave McIntyre all weekend long on the ECAN Radio Network app. So make sure you download the app if you haven't already, so you can tune in and again, listen wherever you are, on your car, on your phone, 24 hours, 7 days a week, ECAN Radio Network. So what's coming up on ECAN here in the coming weeks, Nate? So kind of give us an outline of where we'll be at in the coming weeks.
Yep. So obviously that Labor Day weekend, September 3rd through 4th, Rock Island Grand Prix at Rock Island, Illinois, always a staple of the North American karting calendar. We'll have trackside coverage on September 16th through 18th for the USPKS Hoosier State Grand Prix at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Obviously follow us on the social media for all the trackside updates on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We'll be putting some stuff out on YouTube. It's always some great content, and give it a watch, give it a like, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, excited about the upcoming events that we'll be doing. Again, busy time here at ekartingnews.com, even though we are, we're not trackside yet, but the September month is going to be, and October as well, is going to be a busy time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of race series ending their 2022 seasons. So it's going to be a lot of championship talk. It's going to be a lot of coming down to the wire and all this. So it will be a lot of fun racing is what always the end of the season produces with that championships. But yeah, we'll be covering as much as we can. So stay tuned.
Yep. So make sure you follow us on social media. Again, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And again, make sure you download the apps. Make sure you check out our podcast. Again, ECAN is everywhere that you can think of. So make sure you follow us and tune in. So again, I guess that wraps up our episode for This Week in Karting. Again, episode number 48. August 24th, 2022. Anything else to kind of close out, Nate, with the end of this episode? Again, we had not so much news, but some interesting tidbits here and there. And again, we're looking forward to what will be a busy couple of months and an ending to the 2022 season.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it hasn't been as chaotic, I would say, as other This Week in Karting episodes we've done with a lot of drivers changes and all the silly season stuff. It's kind of slowing down a little bit, which kind of thankful on this side of things, but really just looking forward to, as we get to the end of the season, 2023 calendar releases where we're going for tracks and dates. So obviously we'll be covering that when those things come out. So again, stay tuned to all of our social media platforms for those.
Yeah, again, so thank you, Nate, and thank you, audience, EKN Nation, for tuning in. Again, I'm David Cole. That is Nate Dean. And thank you again for listening to this episode of This Week in Karting.